The shuttle cracked through Veshtakar's upper atmosphere like a hot bullet through wet leaves. Even from above, the jungle moon looked dense and alive. Copper-colored mist curled off gnarled treetops, and below, shadowed canopies twisted like muscle. The ship's hull vibrated as it dropped through the thick air. Corporal Natalie Voss adjusted the optic on her rifle and pulled her ghillie hood tighter. Around her, the multi-species recon unit buzzed with confidence, their armor glossy, shoulders high. Machines whirred and clicked, drones recharging, pulse rifles calibrating. Temperature, 39 degrees Celsius. Humidity, 96%. Atmospheric particulates above acceptable levels, chirped a synthetic voice from the shuttle wall. Lieutenant Kyztena, a beetle-faced Harkari with reflective chitin and ornamental antennae, laughed. Primitive conditions. I do hope your people brought more than leaves and dirt, human. Voss didn't respond. She ran her fingers down her rifle's barrel, then across the stitching of her netting, darkened with local soil and plant resin. The jungle outside wouldn't care about fashion or tech. It cared about silence and heat and patience. The shuttle doors hissed open. A wave of wet heat rolled in like breath from a buried furnace. The terrain reeked of life, decay, nectar, rot, and something feral beneath it all. Giant ferns brushed their armored legs. The twilight was constant, gold bleeding into violet through a thick ceiling of leaves. The squad fanned out, 8 species, 12 soldiers. Sensors scanned the area. Drones lifted off silently, zipping ahead. Kyztena clapped his long fingers together. Perimeter sweep. Secure the ridge. Our sensors will see them before they see us. Voss crouched, testing the ground's give. It was slick, with layers of fungal matter masking hard root. She noticed something, scorched bark on a low tree, barely visible. Her voice was low. Old burn pattern. Controlled. Not natural. Do speak up, Kyztena said dismissively. We have infrared. Thermal. Bioacoustic mapping. She ignored him. Instead, she moved into the underbrush, each footfall deliberate. Her suit changed tone subtly with every shift in light, but it wasn't the tech that mattered. It was the way she moved, slow, intentional, like a ghost remembering the shape of a body. The squad advanced toward the Heliocris Ridge, their formation too tight. Noise discipline was poor. Equipment beeped. Kyztena narrated every step, as if trying to impress the jungle. Voss drifted off their flank, her eyes scanning canopy lines. Something was wrong. Too quiet, no insects above a certain line, and no bird-mimicking fauna calling from the north. The jungle was holding its breath. She toggled her mic. Hold up. Movement patterns off. Perhaps the local wildlife respects our presence, Kyztena replied, chuckling. Then it happened. A shriek, high and mechanical, split the air. One of the drones dropped, metal torn in half by something too fast to track. The next second, 2 Accord troopers were gone. No screams. Just shadows and a wet sound. Contact! Barked a feline soldier from Akron, firing wildly into the trees. The jungle exploded. Karn commandos, taller than humans, armor like wet obsidian, descended from the trees. They moved without sound, blades humming with static fields. Their weapons weren't ballistic. They were brutal, designed for up-close slaughter. Blasters lit up the forest. Voss hit the dirt and crawled beneath a twisted root system. Her breathing slowed. The rest of the squad panicked, retreating toward their failing perimeter. Sensors jammed. Comms garbled. A Karn soldier burst through the ferns, charging a wounded Accord fighter. Voss exhaled and fired. The Karn's head snapped back. He dropped, dead before his body hit the ground. She moved. A low crawl through thorns and vines, every inch controlled. Another shot. Clean. No echo. No flare. She found the medic, Taro Ko, bleeding and pinned behind a shattered rock outcrop. He looked up, his luminous eyes wide. They're everywhere. Quiet, she whispered. She pulled him back into cover, then smeared his pale skin with mud to hide the blood shine. Her rifle's scope was smeared with condensation, but she adjusted. Another Karn swept past. Voss reached down, grabbed a chunk of vine, looped it silently. Waited. When the Karn turned, she pulled. He dropped without a sound. Taroko watched her, stunned. That was basic, she said, already scanning the tree-line. Your people forgot the rules. The jungle doesn't care about your tech. The two of them fell back, cutting through thick brush until the sounds of the skirmish dulled behind them. Smoke rose in the distance. Static hissed through her earpiece. Voss? A weak transmission. The command ship. Status unknown. Recon unit presumed lost. She clicked the comm off. Let them think she was gone. She pulled herself up into the low branches and disappeared into the leaves. Hours passed. The jungle never changed. Never stopped. She moved with it. No trail. No sound. Rifle in hand. Face blank with mud. Her heartbeat slow. Her breath steady. The Karn thought the humans were soft. That camouflage was decorative. That war belonged to machines now. Let them keep thinking. She spotted two Karn scouts below, examining tracks. They didn't look up. She waited. Watched. And whispered, "Mistake." Dawn never really came on Veshtakar. Just a sickly gradient shift from one shade of gloom to another. The jungle didn't brighten. It grew quieter. Hungrier. Voss adjusted the pressure bandage on Taroko's leg, cinching it tighter. The alien winced but didn't complain. His lavender skin was slick with sweat, his breathing shallow. His weapon was lost somewhere during the ambush, useless anyway. He wasn't a fighter. You're stable, she muttered. But I can't carry you. Taroko nodded, understanding. You'll leave me. She shook her head once. You'll stay hidden. I'll circle back. She handed him a packet of powdered bark. Crush this. Rub it on your skin. Mask your scent. Don't move unless you hear me say the word lowlight. Anything else? Run. To where? Exactly, Voss said, already melting into the underbrush. The jungle accepted her without question. Every step was a negotiation with the terrain, silent footfalls, shifting weight, reading the canopy above before stepping forward. She became shadow, heat masked by mud, her ghillie suit stitched with local foliage. The site of the ambush was barely recognizable. Broken limbs, scorched bark, and shallow craters marked the path of retreat. She spotted two Accord bodies, burned beyond identification, armor peeled open like fruit. Nearby, the wreckage of a drone blinked red, still trying to reconnect. Voss knelt and pried a chip from its casing. Local telemetry. Maybe salvageable. Movement. She froze. A Karn scout trudged into view, dragging something by one arm, KRYZ-10's shattered body. One of his arms was gone. The smugness, too. The Karn's armor shimmered faintly, adaptive plating reconfiguring in real time to match the jungle tones. Experimental gear. Didn't matter. The Karn stopped to scan the clearing, turning slowly. Voss was already lining up the shot. She exhaled. Soft trigger pull. The scout dropped, armor sparking where the round pierced a joint behind the neck. No cry. Just a thud. She slithered forward, inspecting the corpse. A low-frequency transmitter blinked under its collar. Short range. She crushed it with a stone and vanished again. Back at the hiding spot, Taroko hadn't moved. Good. She tapped once on a nearby trunk. Low light. His eyes opened. You killed them, he said, half awed, half afraid. She unpacked a ration bar and cut it in half. One? He looked confused. There were. She chewed, then said, Karn don't operate alone. That one had recon gear. 2 more minimum, probably watching. Then why? I want them to chase ghosts, she said, voice flat. You kill one clean and vanish, they get paranoid. They start making noise. They stop trusting the jungle. Taroko looked down at his pale hands, flexing them. Our gear failed instantly. Armor didn't matter. Sensors were blind. They moved like they belonged here. They don't, she said. They just assumed we wouldn't. Later that cycle, Voss left Talco again, relocated him deeper into a hollow tree, camouflaged with vines. He would hold. She had work to do. Her objective was clear now: disrupt, isolate, demoralize. She moved southeast toward the Karn's likely staging zone. The jungle grew denser, roots tangled like tendons, the canopy darker. Voss moved low, silent, her rifle tight to her chest. Hours passed. She tracked footfalls, subtle shifts in bent grass, snapped fern stems. Karn forces weren't careful. They believed they were predators here. That made them predictable. She found them camped in a ravine, 3 tents, portable generators, 1 signal relay. She counted 5 soldiers. One was speaking into a comms unit, presumably reporting back to whoever commanded this sector. She didn't engage. Instead, she marked a perimeter, trip lines from local vine, carefully frayed to look natural. Insects would land on them without setting them off. But a footstep? She'd know. Then she sabotaged the generator coolant valve. Not enough to break it, just delay its failure. Timing mattered. Voss crawled back 30 meters, set her rifle, and waited. 5 minutes later, the generator began to hum louder, whining from within. A Karn soldier moved to check it. She fired. The round hit the generator, not him. Sparks burst. The soldier dove. Shouts erupted. They scattered into the jungle, blind, assuming an ambush. Voss had already moved. By the time they regrouped, their relay was gone, ripped clean off its mount, aerial antenna crushed. Not a word spoken. No trace left. Just chaos. Elsewhere, deep in the Karn Mobile Command tent, General Vec Tralnek slammed his fist on a table. Who is she? No one answered. A scout captain clicked his mandibles nervously. We believe she is human. One? Tralnek hissed. 1 feral, mud-covered ape, and you've lost a full recon squad, 3 drone units, and an entire forward relay? She fights differently. Tralnek second, a thin, serpentine strategist, murmured. We underestimated their primitive doctrine. This one uses terrain, rhythm, ambient masking. She is exploiting gaps we dismissed as irrelevant. Tralnek turned slowly. Irrelevant? This is irrelevant. He hurled a cracked helmet across the tent. Deploy the stalkers. Burn the northeast quadrant. Smoke her out. And if she escapes again? He leaned in close, teeth sharp. She won't. Back in the jungle, Voss rested high in the crook of a gnarled tree. Her body still, breath slow. Below her, 2 Karn troops walked straight past the vines she'd disturbed earlier. One of them muttered something in a guttural tone, probably a complaint. She didn't fire. She let them pass. Let the fear grow. That night, she whispered into her comms one last time, unsure who might still be listening. They think I'm gone. Let them. She shut the unit off. No beacon. No signal. She didn't need backup. She was already winning. Rain fell without warning. Not a drizzle, an instant downpour that drowned sound and erased scent. The jungle seemed to melt into itself, all edges blurred by mist and motion. Voss moved like she'd been born in it. Her ghillie hood hung with soaked moss, blending perfectly with the tree she crouched against. Her breathing matched the rhythm of the falling water. No wasted motion. No sound beyond what the jungle expected. Below, 2 Karn soldiers advanced, shoulder to shoulder, scanning with thermal lenses. Their armor shimmered faintly, reactive plating trying to track changes in ambient light. They looked forward, not up. She'd already marked their patrol route, watched them loop twice from her perch. Predictable. Rigid. Karn doctrine favored strength, not subtlety. That would cost them. The rear soldier paused, adjusting his scanner. Voss fired once. The round hit behind the ear seam, clean, silent. The Karn dropped as if unplugged. The other turned, raising his weapon, already confused. But she was gone. By the time he processed the threat, the forest was still again. Voss crawled 10 meters west, through brush and root, never above knee height. The jungle swallowed her trail. Her kill was deliberate. One shot. No alarm. Let the others wonder where he went. Let fear do half the work. A short break. She tucked herself beneath a massive root, breaking off a thin piece of bark to use as a crude spoon. Ration paste, bland but functional. She needed salt. Fat. Protein. No time to hunt. Her side still ached from a sharp branch she hadn't dodged earlier. A shallow cut, but deep enough to sting. She cleaned it with ash and sap. Infection wasn't optional. The darkness here never changed. Her internal clock said she'd been operating nearly 24 hours straight. She let her head fall back against the root, just for a moment. A memory came, uninvited. Captain Idris, her field instructor on Earth, standing beside a training course in the Peruvian cloud forest. Tech fails, he'd said, squinting through fog. Batteries die. Drones get shot down. But the jungle? It's always been here. And if you can belong to it, you own the fight. Voss had nodded back then, only half believing. Now she understood. Back to work. She looped around the last known position of the Karn forward base. No lights. No movement. Abandoned? No. Too clean. Pulled back. That meant they were adjusting. The jungle grew louder here, buzzing wings, croaking predators, rustling leaves even without wind. She moved carefully, placing her weight across twisted roots and padded moss. Ahead, she spotted something odd. A patch of terrain that was too quiet. No insects. No motion. She waited. Then saw it, a faint shimmer in the air, like heat over pavement. Cloaked drone. She circled wide, keeping her profile low. Pulled a stone from her pouch, wrapped in vine. Tossed it across the drone's range. The device hummed and spun toward the sound. She slid in behind it and sliced the base with her carbon blade. Sparks popped, then silence. Their toys were improving. So was she. As she moved toward higher ground, she spotted a ridgeline, narrow, but dry. Good visibility. She climbed carefully, setting her rifle up just beneath a camouflaged leaf net. Below, Karn forces trudged through a muddy ravine. 7 this time. Heavier gear. A command unit among them, distinctive hunch in the armor plating and a pulse staff. Trilinacase lieutenants. She scanned, marked each target, then stopped on one. A younger officer, head scanning constantly, barking orders. New behavior. Learning. She frowned. That was dangerous. She needed to send a message. She picked her moment, waited until the lead pair entered a narrow choke point between two boulders. She lined the scope just above the left collar, anticipating movement. Exhaled. Shot. The target dropped into the mud, flailing briefly before stilling. She didn't wait. Shifted position. Fired again, another dropped. Before the third shot, she was already crawling away. Shouts rose behind her. Weapons fired blindly. None knew where the shots came from. Confusion. Anger. The jungle screamed with them. She vanished again. An hour later, she made camp in a hollow trunk high above the floor. It wasn't shelter. It was a vantage point, good echo chamber, and one entrance. Safe enough. She activated a salvaged comm fragment. Boosted reception with a coil of copper wire and a local plant with conductive veins. Static. Then faint. Unit hostile, human, unknown status. She adjusted gain. General Trellaneke has issued kill on-site order. Deploying burn teams. Sector Northeast. She clicked the unit off. Burn teams. That meant flame drones and gas. Jungle clearers. Crude. She smiled to herself. Crude could be manipulated. She moved before dawn. Set charges from salvaged batteries and scrap, a trip detonation system wired into a sound trap. Not lethal, but loud. Directional. Next, she rigged a heat flare from a burst cell and an animal carcass to confuse their sensors. By the time the first burn team entered the area, they walked straight into noise, fire, and a heat signature that screamed threat. She watched from a distance as their own drones misfired into foliage, igniting trees. Shouts echoed. A Karn screamed. Not from a bullet. From panic. Perfect. Back at the ravine, a Karn lieutenant reported to Tralaneke via encrypted channel. She's dismantling us. One at a time. Tralaneke's eyes narrowed. She? We confirmed. Human female. Camouflage. No signature. Our men call her the Jungle Ghost. Tralaneke's voice dropped low. Ghosts don't kill squads. People do. I want her crushed. Sir? Tralaneke leaned forward. Do it. Or I'll burn the entire moon down. High above, Voss watched lightning crawl across distant clouds. She adjusted her bandage, reset her rifle scope, and marked a fresh set of tracks below. She whispered, Keep chasing ghosts, Tralaneke. Then she moved on. Smoke curled through the trees like fingers. Acrid, black, and fast-moving. The Karn had deployed a full burn grid across the northern basin. Jungle foliage hissed and shriveled in waves. Small creatures screamed and vanished into the ash. Voss watched it all from a ridgeline, unmoving. The fire wasn't meant to clear terrain. It was panic, pure overreaction. The Karn had no control, so they were trying to erase the problem. Sloppy. She knelt and rubbed a thick paste of mineral dust and sap across her skin, natural fire retardant, learned from an indigenous earth regiment in Borneo. Her ghillie suit already smelled like rot and resin, now it reeked of stone. She was invisible to both eyes and scanners. A new drone passed overhead. Sleek, silent, scanning for signs of movement. It hovered. She didn't flinch. Her heat signature was buried under layers of mud and damp fiber. The drone paused, then turned, flitting off into the smoke. Voss exhaled slowly and started crawling. 2 hours later, she reached the southern edge of the Karn command zone. Their temporary base was hidden under a layered canopy net and surrounded by motion-detecting fences. Tall pylons emitted a dull hum, electrostatic barriers. Efficient, but all it did was make the perimeter predictable. Voss lay prone on a rock outcrop overlooking the camp. Through her scope, she saw Tralaneke for the first time. Even at a distance, he was unmistakable, taller than his officers, armor etched with crimson markings, a curved blade at his hip. He stood near a central command screen, barking instructions. His posture was rigid. Angry. Tired. She counted 6 officers. A dozen guards. Patrol rotations ran every 5 minutes. Firing lanes were poor. They weren't defending from a sniper, they didn't believe one could get close. She smiled. She moved under cover of smoke, creeping low across scorched roots and scorched earth. Her path curved toward the command ridge, slow, deliberate, without sound. Halfway there, she stopped and opened a pouch. Inside was a fragment of scrap radio, some coiled vine wire, and a slug of Karn signal gel. She attached the parts, then buried them beneath leaves, letting them emit a low-frequency pulse. A decoy. She moved again. The nearest patrol shifted toward the false signal minutes later. Exactly as planned? She slipped past the fence, rolling under a section where a root had buckled the perimeter plate. She was inside. The command tent was 20 meters away. Guards nearby. She didn't need to reach it. Just get close enough. She climbed a large tree at the camp's edge, wrapping her rifle strap across a high limb to steady her body. It wasn't her cleanest shot angle, but she didn't need clean. She needed final. Through the scope, Tralaneke appeared. No helmet. Just the red glare of someone too proud to hide. She lined up her shot. No time for a monologue. No hesitation. She squeezed the trigger. The round tore through the command tent and into Tralaneke's skull, blowing out the far side. His body dropped instantly, armor clanging against the ground. Voss was already moving. Alarms screamed through the camp. Karn's soldiers fired wildly into the trees. A few drones zipped skyward, trying to locate a heat trail. She dropped 2 flash charges behind her as she ran. The resulting burst sent them the wrong direction. She didn't flee far. Instead, she doubled back to the fence line and waited. Chaos unfolded perfectly. Without Trelaneke's voice, the command structure collapsed. Officers screamed contradictory orders. Drones locked on false targets. 3 Karn soldiers shot each other in panic. She watched from her hiding place, still and silent. It was over. That evening, the Accord emergency evac shuttle landed on a scorched plateau near the jungle's edge. They expected 0 survivors. Instead, they found 2. Tarulko limped forward, his skin mottled but intact. Beside him, covered in dirt, ash, and dried blood, was Vas, her rifle slung across her back, her face unreadable. The retrieval officer, a reptilian captain named Sarek, stepped forward. "Corporal, we assumed you were Kia." "You assumed wrong," she said. He looked past her, at the jungle. "You were outnumbered. Outgunned." She shrugged. "I had trees." He hesitated. "We reviewed field footage. You neutralized an entire command structure alone. Do you know what they're calling you?" "Ghost, probably," she muttered. "Predator," he corrected. "The jungle's predator." She didn't respond. Just kept walking toward the ramp. Later, in the Accord's field debrief room, officers reviewed the aftermath. Footage, sound files, maps marked with Vasa's movements. "She never used active comms," one said. "No drones. No thermals. No tech support at all." Sarek leaned forward. "She used instinct. Pressure. Terrain manipulation. Camouflage so old we don't even teach it anymore." A pause. "Perhaps we should." Vas sat alone in the quiet of the medical bay. Her hands were steady. Her side was stitched. Her uniform was ruined, but still wearable. She stared out at the jungle from the open bay door, watching smoke rise where the Karn had tried to erase her. They'd failed. She'd proven something. Not just survival. Dominance. The jungle belonged to the one who listened hardest. And this time, that had been human.